Hello, good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about the step-by-step of how we create the report. First of all, we have to keep in mind the topic or the idea about what we are going to talk about. In this case was the artificial intelligence, how this is going to improve our language learning process. After that, we have to start the initial source, like to looking for some information, to searching for some persons who already talk about this, like for some references. Also, we have to read a lot and also analyze the information, try to get some main ideas or some keywords that is gonna help us in our final report. Then we have to create the report, the structural report, which one is gonna be the like the title, the authors, the educational institution, the references, the conclusion. After that, we have to do the first edition or the first draft, where if you have some errors in your speech, like the grammar or something like that, like punctuation, you can fix it. After that, you have to add references, like the references that you use or the persons or the pages that you use to get that information. You have to add it in the part of references. Finally, you have to add the conclusion about how was your experience and everything creating this report. And finally, it's gonna be the final edition, where you can send it to the person who is gonna read it.
Okay, so now we're going to continue with the comparison between a project done by humans, and done using some kind of artificial intelligence. We decided to use several artificial intelligences. The first one that we're going to talk about is Gemini by Google. And of course, we asked these artificial intelligences to recreate the project that we discussed earlier. All right, so we're going to check some of the differences. But just to summarize, I think that the key word when talking about those differences is the word perfection. I think that is the main difference between a project done by humans, which is going to be really natural with some mistakes, which is something common and normal. And on the other hand, the artificial intelligence, which is going to have a lot of information, is going to have perfect grammar, perfect punctuation marks, right? But we're going to check that with some detail, all right? So let's get into it.
All right, so the first big difference is in the structure and the organization. In human written projects, we're going to find that the information appears in long paragraphs and it doesn't have a clear structure. Perhaps some ideas may be repeated, and in artificial intelligences, those sections are clearly divided in introduction, theoretical framework, benefits, analysis, conclusion, and finally references. And we're going to find that artificial intelligence avoids that kind of repetition in the ideas. Second big difference is in the writing quality. So in human written projects, we're going to find, of course, as I mentioned before, some small grammar mistakes, some inconsistent tone, some parts are formal and some other parts are informal. Some ideas feel improvised or spontaneous, and we have a limited use of connectors. On the other hand, artificial intelligence is always grammatically perfect, consistent with the academic tone, fluent sentences, a lot of connectors, however, consistently moreover, and the sentences tend to be longer and more structured. The third difference that we can find is in the referencing style. In the human written project, we can find that the references appear at the end but are not really integrated into the text. maybe some of them are not actually related with the text, citations are incomplete or are misplaced, and the APA format may be inconsistent. Now, in the artificial intelligence project, the citations are used naturally in the sentences. Of course, the APA format is properly used, and the evidence is applied into the text more effectively. Finally, the fourth big difference between human written projects and artificial intelligence written projects would be in the cohesion and flow of the text. In the human written, we can find that some ideas may feel abrupt. There are some transitions between ideas that may feel abrupt. Some paragraphs vary in the length and the rhythm, and there are some occasional confusion in the logical sentences. On the other hand, artificial intelligences are very smooth between the transitions of paragraphs and ideas. The text feels guided from start to finish, and there are some balanced paragraphs and perfect coherence. All right, so now we're going to listen to a discussion. This is going to be a conversation about these differences and the experiences that our partners had using different artificial intelligences to recreate that document, that project that we were discussing before. So let's listen to them.
Well, for continuing with our topic, now we are going to compare again the work made by Person, which is called How Artificial Intelligence Enhances Language Learning. And also we are going to compare one that was given by an AI, which is DeepSeek, the AI.
And even though at first glance they may seem pretty similar, there are a clear signs that tell you when a piece of work is written by humans and when it's not.
So we're going to show you that those differences using the document we just reviewed.
Okay, so to start, we're going to analyze the work writing by humans. In the real test, the first thing you notice is a human voice. The ideas are well explained, but some parts go deeper than others, and that's totally normal when a group of students writes an assessment.
Exactly, and as Evelyn said, it explains what an intelligent tutoring system is, and it also mentions some benefits like personalization or immediately feedback, but it does not so descriptive way, or it is too theoretical. That is very typical of human writing works or texts.
There are also long sentences, repetitions, and a lot of connectors, like as mentioned before, as mentioned earlier. And that shows, those kind of things shows that the text wasn't really generated automatically, but it was built while thinking and writing.
Exactly, and also other thing is that the references are there, but they are not going further more than they're just placing those different references, and they are just using the minimal of bibliography.
But for instance, if that same text had been written by an AI, the signs will be very different and very clear too.
Like that overly perfect tone.
Exactly. AI uses like a very polished, neutral, and optimistic style, using typical phrases like transformative tool, personalized experiences, or a new era of learning.
Another characteristic is that it also repeats ideas without going deeper or without personalization, feedback, or motivation. But it doesn't, as I said, it doesn't go forward.
And it almost never criticizes anything. An AI generated text avoids risks, problems, or controversy.
On top of that, the conclusions usually sound inspirational, almost like a motivational speech.
And the most obvious detail is when AI tries to make quotations. For example, in the real document, there was a very characteristic sentence that it says, está impactando en unir 2024 enseñanza. And the quotation sounds a little bit cut off, and that's exactly the kind of mistake that appears when an AI inserts quotations without checking the cohesion.
So just to take into account what did we learn? We learned that a human-made assignment has intention, variation, neutral errors, and it has an own voice tone. And one written or generated by an AI is neat and pretty, but so superficial.
Human tests show real decisions, real understanding, and sometimes confusion, which is completely normal.
So, of course, AI is useful, but it doesn't replace critical thinking, and the key is to use it as a support and a tool, but not a substitute.
Okay, now we're gonna talk about the difference between the human document and the ChatGPT document. To start, we have the difference in structure and depth. First, the human written document is the most complete and academic document, but because that it has a cover page, author names, university information, and reference. It also explains concepts more deeply, such as intelligent tutoring systems, adaptive feedback, and digital competence. In comparison, the AI generated by ChatGPT document is shorter and simpler, is clear and well organized, but it doesn't include citations or external research. The humanized version, because we also has a humanized, has the same content as the AI report, but in a more conversational tone. Talking about the tone, we have the difference in tone and formality. Another big difference is the tone. The human writing text is very formal and academic. The AI text is formal too, but it's more neutral and easy to read. Meanwhile, the humanized version sounds very casual. It uses expression like, isn't it great? Or you know what it means? This makes it feel more like natural speech but less academic. Now my friend gonna continue with more difference in those documents.
Okay, now I'm continuing with the analysis of the three documents. And Natalia already explained the difference in structure and tone. So now I will talk about the difference in content and purpose. So the first one, we have the difference in content. And the human written document includes more technical ideas. It talks about early level detection, error explanation, dynamic content creation, and even mention research for the nature and junior. The generated text focuses on only on general ideas like personalization, chatbots, gamification, and benefits for teachers. And the humanized version doesn't add new information. It simply changes the tone to make the text sound more natural. Now the difference in purpose. The formal reading document is clear mean for academic assignment. It has evidence, citation, and more complex analysis. And they generate reports meant to be informative, summarized, clear, and straightforward. And the humanized text tries to make the text version so more like a real person wrote it, even though it becomes less formal. So, in conclusion, the human document is most academic and complete. And the document it's clear and professional. Each one has different purpose and reading style. So that's all.